Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, about 5 years now ago, we had COVID. And at that point, a lot of people kind of liked not working. You know, everyone was laid off, still on sort of three quarters pay, but all covered by the government. But yeah, you weren't to go to work or anything like that. And some people got and really enjoyed that kind of lifestyle. And they decided that after COVID, they'd like to continue it. Now, what this has resulted in is 260,000 people in Scotland not working because of long-term sickness or having a disability. Now, for a lot of these people, it is genuine. Absolutely, I'm not denying it. And for those people, fine. If it's genuine, not an issue. But for a lot of them, it isn't genuine. It is just, well, seeing what you can get away with. And of course, because everything was done at that point remotely, the authorities kind of just had to rely on what you were telling them. And the trouble is, that's still in place. Now, I myself tried to test the system. I think I mentioned this before, where I went on to one of those websites where it says, are you eligible for PIP, for example? And I found that by answering strictly, very truthfully, I could get 10,000 a year in PIP and a free car. Now, I haven't because I'm not a wastrel. And also, I mean, it's like giving in, isn't it? It's like packing it up. And also, the fact if you're on PIP, it does restrict you, you know, in other things. When I got diagnosed, for example, with my myasthenia gravis, that's very mild, and I take 4 of these a day. These are pyridostigmine bromide. Take 4. They cost about 9p each, you know. Take 4 of them a day. No problem. But because it was a notifiable disease, I had to have a limited driving license for 3 years till I could fight it with my neurologist, who wrote the letter saying, no, it's very mild. He's absolutely fine to drive. And then I got my 10-year license back, you know. But that's fine, and that's how it is. So you must be careful if you're going to go down that PIP route, because otherwise it might give you a restricted license or something. Catastrophic for me if I had that. Wouldn't like that at all. Anyway, I diverged myself from where I was talking. Long-term sickness. Now, 260,000 people. And they can't all be totally incapable of any kind of work whatsoever. I'm sure there's sort of work that, like admin work and things like that, light duties as you used to get in the military. And the Scottish government, the SNP government, has now realised that these people are a burden and they should be working and earning. Now, had they realised this, say, 4 years ago, at the end of the pandemic, things would not now be so bad. And I've had 4 years of taxes coming in, not benefits going out. Scotland would be in a much better place for it. The economy certainly would be better. But now they're pushing people to go and get a job. And the problem is now, in the intervening 4 years since the end of the pandemic, there are no jobs. The economy has tanked. The Scottish government has overseen one of the biggest collapses of jobs in that period. And then on top of that, for the last year, of course, Labour government at Westminster. Boy, we're really in trouble, aren't we? And so now they're trying to tighten all these things. They're going in, they're reassessing all these people who have spent 5 years enjoying the benefits, as it were, of the COVID restrictions being loosened in terms of application for various benefits. Now, these people are going to struggle now because all of a sudden this money may well shortfall. It may shrink. It may be that they don't get half as much as they thought they were due. What are they going to do? Well, it's a bit too late to go out and try and get a job. You've got a 4-year gap in your history. What was wrong with you for 4 years? Oh, well, I was busy pulling the lead, you know. And also, the jobs aren't there. And, of course, the jobs increasingly aren't going to be there because they're trying to destroy one of Scotland's biggest enterprises, which is North Sea oil. And, of course, everything that goes along with that, because it's not just the oil industry itself, it's the supply lines to the oil industry, it's the tertiary economy around it. It's the local economy where people are spending money in shops and bars and restaurants and things, and that money flows out. And of course, if that goes, it's all gone. And you're going to have all these unemployed people, but they are fresh unemployed with a good work history and often highly educated. And then you're going to go and try and compete with them. isn't going to work. So all these lead swingers in Scotland, the real lead swingers, not the genuine ones, obviously, the genuine lead swingers, not the ones who are there genuinely needing the help, but all the ones that have just played the system for quite some time. Well, they're in panic mode, aren't they? The only problem is, of course, how far will the SNP go? We know they're fairly left, but even they've got to admit now that the benefits bill is too high, and one of the problems is they've got no way of dealing with it. They are the one, after all, who demanded control of the benefit system. Westminster, the Treasury in particular, was saying, you really don't. And they were adamant they did, because the more power they get, the closer they get to independence, they felt. And the Treasury was saying, no, you don't want it. You really don't want this. They demanded it and said, fine, it's yours now. Hand it over. And of course the Treasury's going, they can't help themselves but laugh. And now it's all falling apart. Just exactly like the Treasury said. And what are the SNP doing? Well, they're panicking now. They're on panic stations. Desperate U-turns. U-turns because they literally haven't got the money. 269,000 people in Scotland, aged between 16 and 64, who gave their reason for being inactive as long-term sick and disabled, and no way of getting them back into work. Conditions such as, quote, anxiety and depression are costing the taxpayer 1.3 billion a year. Well, I think the thought of having to go and get a job is causing anxiety and depression, isn't it? But what is this government going to do? They literally don't have anything to do. They are useless. They've run out of ideas. They literally don't have an idea. But for some, of course, as I mentioned, some paid work is just not an option. But for most, there is always something they can do. There's just no jobs for them to do it in. But perhaps if the government spent, or the Scottish government, the SNP, spent less money on independence and more money on job creation, who knows what could happen? Imagine if you fired all those useless, pretendy embassy staff who were earning very, very good money to sit in nice places and pretend that they've actually got a job. Perhaps if we could stop Angus flying off at every opportunity at taxpayer expense. Perhaps if they could stop producing all those pretty little brochures that are meaningless, pointless, and a waste of time, effort, and money, and ploughed that in to actually helping people, creating things, building, then who knows? The possibilities are endless. Thanks very much. Bye.